I'm gonna keep going, and I'm not gonna stop. So neither should you, neither should anybody else. So don't let nobody tell you what you can and can't do, because only you know what you can and can't do, and only you can tell yourself what you can and can't do, not nobody else. So just remember that. Later.
We're here with Rashid Isaiah, exclusive interview with Seven. Want to introduce yourself?
What's going on, y'all? My name is Rashid Isaiah. I'm a producer, artist, engineer, AV technician, video editor, um, all the above, basically. I'm coming out of Jersey, man. I basically be in New York though all the time because I work here, type shit. So I be in and out of state type shit. So New Jersey, New York, we here. Shout out Seven. Shout out Jake. I know you with us. You know what I'm saying. Appreciate your energy, dog. Shout out Penthouse. You know, we got a lot going on right now. So shout out to all the motion that's going on. Shout out to everybody working hard in the building. Shout out KJ behind the board. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we here.
So, just jumping right into it, I've had the opportunity to listen to a number of your unreleased tracks, and one of the feelings that immediately strikes me when I listen to it, there's a classicness to it in a way that isn't dated so much as it is clearly pulling from something older while still feeling fresh and reverential yet not derivative. It's an interesting balance. Do you have any insight to that?
Definitely. I was just talking to one of my artists, Nasik, about this very topic. We were thinking about calling our sound basically like 1990 now, because we basically have the essence, like the feeling of what hip hop was back in like the 90s, but it's not the dusty sound, it's not the compressed sounds that were used back then on those sounds because of the time period. We have, fresh sounds, it just sounds more modern, you know what I'm saying? Modernly mixed, modernly produced, but still with the essence, the art of what it was back in, you know, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the early hip hop, the golden age, and even before that. Even after that too a little bit. But yeah, definitely 1990 nowish. That's definitely the motto for what we doing right now. So yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So I know you're from Jersey, and your sound definitely pulls from a lot of early New York stuff. As you mentioned, you're straddling a bit of a middle line between the '90s sound with more modern production. What do you think should be gained on a wider scale for music, particularly rap, from the more old approach from the '90s, and what do you think we should continue to improve upon from the more modern age of rap?
I think it's a couple things, man. I think number one is really the production. You know what I'm saying? The value of production has gone down a lot. So you have a lot of the production that's sounding the same. Naturally, of course, you hear a lot of artists that are sounding the same as well. So I can understand that. But at the same time, with like the beats, necessarily, that's not pushing the artist to do anything new. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's basically like copy and paste. So I think, a lot of producers can benefit from studying some of the sound from like the golden age and how they really put it together. What were their circumstances and what made them make this work of art. You know what I'm saying? Because I think there's a lack of vision within like modern art, I think, because everybody's trying to sound the same. Just basically like the production, you know what I'm saying? Everything is tight beats now and shit like that. And every artist want to sound like their favorite artist just so they can get the streams and get their fan base to just say, oh, this is fire. You sound like such and such. Oh, you hot. And label all that other jazz. But I think um, none of that stuff lasts. I think the stuff that does last is the stuff that came from the golden era, the older era of hip hop. Notice legacy artists last forever. None of these newer artists, of course, they still need time. There's no really new artists, you know what I'm saying? Um it's not really like pushing it, pushing the boundaries and really like making a name for themselves or the culture that they're in or the music that they make. So I think, well, to get into it, definitely the production, um, and I think just the overall intention. Why do you make the music? You know what I'm saying? That's a very important discussion because somebody who makes music for money, um, if you put somebody who makes music for money alongside with somebody who makes music for, you know, the love, it's gonna sound completely different. It's gonna be a whole different attention to detail. There's gonna be more of a appreciation for it, and you can hear the love. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's basically like cooking. You know what I'm saying? Like you can taste when somebody puts love into it, as is somebody who just slaps some shit together and just put it in the microwave type shit.
100%. I think there's a lot to go into there. I'm thinking about an alchemist quote where he talked about a friend who said, "You know, painting's done when you feel like you're going to cry. You feel like you're going to get emotional." You talk about attention to detail. And I've come back week after week and I've heard you tweak the same song over and over. And it always continues to evolve. Thinking about the painter that Alchemist referenced, when do you think a song is done? What to you signals I need to take my hands off?
You know, even still, I remember seeing that interview, and that even for me is still a tough question. Like, when is a song done? I think a song is, I know it's done when I've listened to it, and I don't know, it's literally just like a feeling. Like, I that's the best way I can explain it for me. Like, usually with me, I've been doing this for a long time. So when I do a song and I know I can hear it, I know it needs to be changed. I'm like, all right, I gotta compress this more. I gotta EQ this more. I gotta take this out, add this. You know, like it just naturally comes, so I know what I have to do. But when I listen to a song and I just feel it, and I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, that was great. You know, I just had that feeling of just satisfaction and not really anything like, oh, I need to change this. You know what I'm saying? That's when I know like the song is done. You know what I'm saying? Once I just listen to it and then I come away from it, away from the experience as a fan more than a creative.
Hmm. So going back to attention to detail, I've noticed at the beginning of a lot of the songs that at least you've played around me, there's occasionally a voice quote or a clip from a show or a video. Um, and to me, that illustrates someone attempting to paint a broader picture with the music beyond just the sonics. Uh, some asking the listener to maybe be a little more intentional about their personal listening of the art. Do you have an idea for putting those quotes in? Is it to set a tone? Is it to paint a larger picture? Do you have a more grand story that you're trying to communicate?
For sure. It's mostly to significant. I can't even say the word because my list, but it's supposed to signify the culture. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the quotes come from people that are very relevant within hip hop culture, within Black culture, really, but really hip hop. From guys from like Snoop Dogg, Dame Dash, um, even like a Stephen A. Smith. Like, you know what I'm saying? These is guys, that's basketball, but you know, it's all in the same culture, you know what I'm saying? So those are very much meant to be like cultural indicators, and it kind of make you think on like a broader scale because you hear those people and these like some of these are people that you know, and they're saying things that you may have never heard them say before on, you know, probably my production or somebody that I know's production. And, you know, that kind of opens up the world a little bit because now it's not, you're not immediately just focusing on just me. Even though that is the primary focus, I'm showing that there's kind of like a bigger world. I'm a
Some
part of a
depth
bigger
there for
world.
sure.
Exactly.
For sure. For sure. And the last one I'll say is regards to attention to detail. Obviously, you do a lot of your own production. And I've heard you just sift through loops on end, and then one will catch you and you'll just run with it. And doesn't seem like you ever hit a real brick wall. Like once you have that initial idea, it flows. When it comes to making beats and listening for samples, do you have a producer or a sound that you're looking for or that you're trying to pull from, or is it, or are you thinking more, this is Isaiah, this is Rashid, this is me when you listen for your production?
I wouldn't say all my production is me, even from like the stuff that I do that sounds like somebody else, from the things that I do that are just more abstract. I think all of it is just me at the end of the day. I just have my influences, and those influences play a great part in how I am and how my music sounds. Um, I think one of my main I think the people, or not really the people, these two producers, they're a duo. Um that my sound kind of reminisces, or kind of sounds like the most, or mimics the most. I would say it goes by a duo of the name of Mike and Keys. I actually have the pleasure of knowing these guys. These guys are six-time Grammy nominated, I think. Yeah, they've done records with everybody, but notably they've done all of Nipsey's projects and things like that. Even from his older projects, they've cultivated and built his sound and made him into the megastar that he was. On top of working with all the different artists like Beyonce, Jay Z, Snoop Dogg, the list goes on. But these guys, I even work with Dre, and even Dre is giving them their flowers. You know what I'm saying? These guys are the goats, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions. So, and I work with them. They've had the pleasure of coming to the studio, cooking up. We got my man Smoke Dizza in here. We working on a project right now, so I've been recording that for him. And just being in those sessions and seeing like the beats they was making, how quick they was doing it, what was the inspiration behind it. I think it helped me level up every time because I'm hearing what they're doing, and that's like, that's the shit I love, and that's the shit that's like, I'm sitting here like I got to get like that. You know what I'm saying? Like these dudes is working 24/7, 365. You know what I'm saying? I feel like sometimes we could be around people that don't really bring that competitive side of us out. And you know what I'm saying? That can kind of dim us in a way. But these guys, you know what I'm saying? They working harder than me. They in the studio more than me. They working with more artists than me. They better than me, and they're in a better position than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of inspirational. And plus I love what they do. And they my guys too. So we're working on the project Smoke Dizza. Hopefully there's more to come. Um, but yeah, shout out my guys Mike and Keys, RP Nipsey Hustle. Um, yeah, marathon continues. But
Talked before about cultivating a sound. It's an interesting time in the music industry to be cultivating a sound. There's a lot of focus on what is hot and what is trendy. Moving into 2025, where do you plan to take your sound? What new heights do you plan on reaching?
as far as sound, I want to bring back that East Coast sound. I think the West Coast has done a really good job with Kendrick Lamar, and well, really Kendrick Lamar, but unifying the West and bringing that sound out, back into the forefront again. I think was really impactful for hip hop, specifically, because the energy was reminiscent of that time of when NWA was on top type shit. And what I really wanted to get into is that their sound, they have a sound. You know what I'm saying? The West Coast sound overall is very synth heavy. It's very movement, groove, overall good feeling. You know what I'm saying? That's what you really get with the West Coast. That's the most of their sound. But the East Coast has been different, and I don't think the East Coast has really shined in that sound in a long time. But I think the East Coast shines in being the exact opposite of that.
Got
We're
something to
more, we're
prove for the
more
East Coast, huh?
exactly. We're more grimy. We're more eerie. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more. It's a lot more grimy. So I kind of want to I want to wear that on my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? New York, we here, East Coast shit. So for my next project, it's called The 100 Nights. I definitely wanted it to be very East Coast reminiscent. Like I want somebody to hear this and be like, "Wow, this is like some East Coast shit." You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's not necessarily even about the coast. It's really just about the culture that's here. You know what I'm saying? I grew up listening to Nas. I grew up listening to the Locks. I grew up listening to Jay. Grew up listening to all these guys that basically came from New York and had that grimy New York sound. You know what I'm saying? Even though Jay-Z was a little more like, flamboyant with it, he still had that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely had that. Even Biggie. So I really want to bring that back because I feel like New York has kind of lost that identity. You know what I'm saying? And especially within hip hop specifically. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of like a culmination of different music styles right now, which is great. We're New York City, and I understand that. But as far as hip hop goes and where it came from and where it was born and what really propelled it to new heights and the culture behind that, that was the grimy, the eerie, the complete opposite of what the West Coast was. The happy, the triumphant. Nah, it's colder over here. You should be able to hear that. So my next project is gonna be called 100 Nights, and even with that project, I'm gonna be doing it out the trunk. So that means I'm gonna be doing it DIY. Well, not DIY, D2C, direct to consumer. I'm gonna be selling this album. I'm gonna have it on even. I'm gonna have a bundle with a couple things. I'm gonna put some merch in there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna definitely do it kind of like how they, you know, did it back in the day. You know what I'm saying? They was moving their tapes out the trunk. You know what I'm saying? They was moving CDs, and of course, bigger artists had stuff in shelves and things like that. But that's not something that's even done today anymore because of streaming. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to bring back, what made uh, our music so valuable. You know what I'm saying? And giving that power to like the consumer to just consume, um, and support me directly. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely gonna help with that because now I'm gonna be able to build a community. You know what I'm saying? I think it's really hard to build a community. You have to have a really big community when you're like streaming to really know who that community is, but not if you're doing it directly. If you're doing it directly, I get to know exactly who you are. I get to talk to you. I get to understand you. I get to interact with you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very excited about that, being able to engage with my fans on a completely different level, than what I've been doing before. But I'm gonna also be uploading on streaming too. You know what I'm saying? Do some singles and things like that. But for the project and my bread and butter, I'm really gonna be putting that into 100 nights. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. So continuing with this project, 100 Nights, do you plan to kind of build a larger thematic world around it? Do you plan on shooting some videos for it? Or are you going to keep it a little more bare bones for this one?
I want this to kind of, well, I think of all my projects at least as like a chapter. You know what I'm saying? The overall story is me. And I think this chapter, 100 Nights, um, it's basically getting into the the harder nights of my life where I really had to grow, like in a rapid, uncomfortable way. That was probably around the time when I got out of college and you out into the real world, you gotta make money type shit and things was hard, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have a lot. So it was looking real slow. I felt a lot of pain. I went through a lot, you know what I'm saying? But those 100 nights, is even more than 100 nights really, but I wanted to call 100 nights because I've developed a relationship with the nighttime, in a sense, my whole life really. But um, these 100 nights, it's really like I really thought to myself and I said, a lot of these nights I stayed up working. A lot of these nights I've cried. A lot of these nights I've seen some shit. A lot of these nights, you know what I'm saying, I was at risk. Like some of these nights I got stopped and frisked. I ain't even mean to rap. I just did that. But it really happened. Like
Mm.
some of these nights I really like got caught in with like the police and it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like all of this is just happening at night. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the time. This is around the time where I'm doing it for me. Like during the daytime, I'm working. I work my 9 to 5. I do that. I'm on like other people's time type shit. But when I'm at nighttime, I'm really on my time. So it's like I really gotta, I gotta do a lot more in a sense. But overall, I developed a relationship with the nighttime. I think it's like I'm married to it. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of want to signify that through the music and with the East Coast and what I'm trying to show and what I'm trying to offer in general. You know what I'm saying? Bring back that eerie, grimy sound. And, with 100 Nights, I basically is basically telling that story of, some of the hardest nights that I've went through in my life, and what I saw, what I went through, what I thought. Um, just it's really just a lot, but really I wanted it to make it as grimy as possible, not in a sense that it's dark. It is actually dark, not like dark in like a bad way, like it's gruesome or anything like that. It's just the sound. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, West Coast very synth, like upbeat tempo. Over here, we're more pianos, atmospheric. You know what I'm saying? I definitely have a lot of that on the album. And I just kind of wanted to just kind of push that. It kind of just showed like the nighttime in New York City, how dark it get, how cold it gets. So I kind of wanted to kind of bring that out in like the lyricism and mainly the production. So I'm really excited for the production. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm only producing like 2 tracks on this album. I really got my guys AAA and I got my guy Dizzy Banco. So it's us three, and we're basically the producers on it. I produced like 2 tracks. AAA I think produced 3, and I think Dizzy produced 2 as well. There might be some more, but basically those 3. But yeah, so basically 100 Nights is just telling the story of some of the hardest nights of my life. Those 100 nights, you know what I'm saying? It's 100 days, 100 nights though. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I love the night, and it
Absolutely.
made me in a
So, kind of pulling it all together here, I could tell from talking to you that you have a huge respect for really boots on the ground artistry, really going out there and getting it and cultivating a sound. And there's a lot that can be said about what's been lost with streaming and social media being as widespread as it is. Going into 2025, attitude wise, what can we respect? What can we expect from Rashid?
definitely a more focused Rashid, and not someone who's a more focused for sure, not too easily distracted, but definitely a more more competitive. Definitely I'm definitely got a chip on my shoulder. Um, and I got something to prove. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely coming to show that in 2025 with even just doing this and the music, and just even thinking outside of the music so much, in fact, that so I can build a world around just me as a brand, because I already got the music. I've been doing music for years, but I want to kind of take it to another level now. So, um, yeah, man. Um,
Absolutely. Should rappers be nervous?
Rappers be nervous? No, but I think rappers get nervous. It's not a rapper. It's not about is. It's not about if you should. It's a feeling. You're gonna feel that. You know what I'm saying? But I think the best rappers just power through that. You know what I'm saying? They take that shit and they wear it and they embrace it and they get through that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what rappers should do. You know?
Absolutely. Bringing it to a close, you got anyone you want to give a shout out to? You've done a really good job here of shouting out your team and really, putting your respect where it matters. Anyone else you want to shout out while we got the time?
Um, and shout out a lot of people. First, shout out my guys Mike and Keys. Shout out my guys Buddha and Grands. Oh, shout out Smoke Dizza too. My fault, B. Yeah, shout out Buddha and Grands as another producer duo. They Grammy nominated as well. Who else? Um shout out my artist Not Sick. That's my brother. He from my town. He coming up right now. We working on some shit. Shout out the whole team over there. My boy Jayden, Mustafa the Great. You know what I'm saying? Producer. I knew him since high school. We went to college together. Shout out my boy Sullivan Rose. You know, new artist on the rise. And work ethic crazy. Love that nigga. And really shout out the whole Penthouse gang, man. Shout out you, shout out Seven. Shout out KJ. Shout out my boy Lee. Shout out Cindy. Shout out everybody, man. Shout out to the whole squad and shout out to everybody watching this shit. Shout out to everybody uh that listened to the project, shared the project, or just listened to my music or is just a fan of my music, you know what I'm saying? Cause y'all who I do it for, you know what I'm saying? So really shout out everybody, man.
Yeah. And bringing it to a close here, say your socials and if you got any final words for the audience, artists, the culture at large.
You can find me everywhere at Rashid Isaiah, RashidIsaiah. Again, RashidIsaiah. Yeah, you can find me on everywhere: Instagram, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, even. Um, and yeah, my last message to I guess anybody that's watching that right now, my bad. Um, don't give up. You know, we go through a lot, all of us here, even the people behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? To even stand here and, you know, be here at this time of night to make this happen. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. It takes a lot out of us, and the world kind of don't really understand what we do. But that's all the more reason why, you know, we need to show them because they weren't supposed to see it. It was for us. And I encourage anybody who has that vision to never give up. You know what I'm saying? I'm living proof. I've been basically casted aside, my whole life. Niggas never thought I really could do it. My parents I don't think I could really do it. You know what I'm saying? So nobody really thought I would really be here, made it as far as I did. So I'm kind of a testament to that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to keep going and I'm not going to stop. So neither should you, neither should anybody else. So don't let nobody tell you what you can and can't do because only you know what you can and can't do. And only you could tell yourself what you can and can't do, not nobody else. So just remember that. But yeah.